We are live on Saints Now by Chat Sports. Welcome into our second Monday edition of our 2 times a week live shows. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Welcome to Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, I'm joined by my guy on the ones and twos, Loco Lopez. We're going to be talking about the latest injury news around Vernon Broughton. We're going to be discussing some players that I think need an opportunity to start. And also, we're going to take a look at everything in between. I also want to say, a really fun segment to kind of start things up. Give you guys a little bit of optimism as we head into week 3. My name's Trizzy Trace Girouard. This is Saints Now by Chat Sports. Give me a hoot at in the comments section if you are pumped up to be live. I see Jaden Barton, Isaiah, Jerry G, always hanging out with us. Jaden, good to see you. A bunch of mailbag questions from him. We also got Mir Comet, good to see you. Jerry G, good to see you. Isaiah, always a pleasure. Give me a hoot at if you want a shout out on today's video. We got 29 people hanging out with us, 36 people now. Absolutely love to see it. Give me a hoot at if you want a shout out. I only see Jerry G, Isaiah, Jaden, and Mir Comet in the chat. That's crazy. Only a few people getting active in there, but almost 40 people watching. So there you go. Tom Slavin, good to see you. Hope you are having a wonderful day. Kermit, good to see you as well. Pablo, Mir Comet, thank you for tuning in. This is the build-up portion of our show. We're going to get into the latest injury news, rumors, and everything in between here momentarily. While we let the audience pile up, Lopez, would you mind pulling up the social graphic around the injury for Vernon Broughton? Because obviously this is the injury news that has recently struck the New Orleans Saints. Vernon Broughton, he is expected to miss the rest of the season with a hip injury. Sources tell the insiders. Nick Underhill also kind of reassuring and reaffirming that. Kellen Moore reaffirmed it as well today with the press conference they had with media. They have not had surgery quite yet, but Vernon Broughton will most likely head to IR very, very soon. That's the injury news for you. Obviously, tough break for the black and gold, but wanted to make sure that you guys were informed, entertained, and that way you guys can engage. Mir Comic, good to see you. Michael Mullen, Sean, Jerry G, Jay Edwards, U.S. Champ, Adrian, Spidey, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the live show. I also want to ask you guys, how are you feeling about Spencer Rattler? Do you think that he's been playing well? Do you think he's been playing poorly? Do you think that he, needs to get benched? Do you think that he needs an extension? What are you thinking? How are we feeling about Spencer Rattler after a couple of starts? Personally, I think that he's been honestly fine. I think he's been okay. I don't think he's been bad by any means. I don't think he's been great, but he hasn't been bad. Yesterday was a really good performance. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, played fairly clean football. Sure, you want to clean some of those things up and iron out some of those wrinkles, but I do think overall he's developing in a really nice way, and he's getting better every time he takes the field. Lopez, what do you think?
I thought that was the best Spencer Rattler we've seen in his career. I know, game 8 or 9, but that was the best outing he's had. Yeah,
no doubt. I thought in terms of all of the reps that you've seen Spencer Rattler take, preseason, regular season, last year, this year, I mean, he's only getting better. Yeah, every time he's taken the field, I've been like, it's better than the last time, better than the last time, better than the last time, better than the last. So it's like,
I don't know how he didn't look as good in the preseason going against teams that were not at full strength. And
sure.
First 2 outings this season going against full strength teams.
Yeah.
He hasn't been bad.
No, he hasn't. I don't think he's been all that bad. I think Spencer Rattler has certainly not been the reason that the Saints are 0-2. I think he's actually been a big reason why the Saints have been able to keep those 2 losses within 1 possession. So we're going to get into some fun content. Hashtag Saints. Send in a super chat. If you have a mailbag question, trade idea, hot take, anything like that, make sure you sound off and get in the comment section. Jerry G saying trade Juwan, Caesar, Isaac Yadam, and Blake. Well, Jerry, if you want the rest of the Houdat Nation to see that, use hashtag Saints or Super Chat. What'd you say?
Got good news for you. We're talking about some of that later.
We actually are talking about a little bit of that, Jerry, which is pretty funny. If you guys want to get on the show, use hashtag Saints or send in a Super Chat. We will be doing a mailbag later on in the program. So I hope to see you guys get some questions in. I hope you guys get some hot takes in. And if you don't use hashtag Saints or send in a Super Chat, then we cannot get you on the show. The only way our software will recognize that you sent in a question is if you use hashtag Saints. That's the free way to get on. Or if you send in a super chat, you skip the line. We'll spend a little bit extra time on your question, and we'll make sure to celebrate it accordingly. So there you have it. We will get to the mailbag later on in today's video. Make sure you use hashtag Saints. Better yet, send in a super chat. All righty. If you guys are ready to talk some Saints football, like the video. We got 57 people watching, 12 likes. When we get to 20 likes, 8 more away, and we can get this thing rolling. Spidey, great question, or great take right there. I totally agree with you. It was nice to see Devaughn Vele get a touchdown. It's exactly why you traded for him. You traded him to make some of those red zone catches. For what it's worth, 3 targets, 2 catches. Both of them have either been a touchdown or a first down. So shout out to Devaughn Vele.
Maybe target him a little bit more.
Yes. Dare I say, throw him the ball more.
Sounds like it works out when you throw it to him.
Crazy idea. Throw the football to the guys who catch the ball.
Or,
I know that's like a mind-boggling idea, but
I don't know. The whole let's keep throwing it to Juwan Johnson. He might catch it. He might.
Yeah,
drop it.
I mean, if you throw the ball 100 times, he's going to catch it 8 times. Like one of those were the 8. You know, it'd be like that. I can confidently say, as somebody who's been a Juwan Johnson believer and supporter, I'm rather disappointed in how this season has gone for him so far. But needless to say, we have a conversation to have about making some changes to the starting lineup, some injury updates, some reasons to be optimistic about this team, and everything else in between. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. This is Saints Now by Chat Sports. We are going to get into our first segment here momentarily. We're going to start off telling you why I think that this team is reminiscent of a very special squad. Dan Campbell. Y'all remember him? Saints legend. Dan Campbell. He was really, really good. Guess what? He turned a dumpster fire of an organization to one of the better organizations in football right now. So, I think the Saints are kind of in that same trajectory right now, just a few years later. So, I'm going to explain my case here momentarily. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it here, right now on the channel. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning in. First one is PrizePicks, and I am ready whenever you are. We're going to talk about it. My name is Trace. Let's party. Yep. It's Saints versus Seahawks week, and I need to help. Hold on. Let me rephrase. We're making the sausage live. Isn't this so fun? Reset. It's time to get ready for Saints versus Seahawks. I want you to help me prove who is the better fan base, the Who Dat Nation or the 12s. We're in a sub-battle this week with Will Ortner and Seahawks today. Let's bury those frauds. Let's show who the better fan base is. Subscribe to Saints Now by Chat Sports if you bleed black and gold. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. This is Saints Now by Chat Sports, and I have a hot take. I think that the New Orleans Saints of 2025 are very reminiscent to the 2021 Detroit Lions. And I'm going to spend the next few minutes explaining my case. Dan Campbell, Saints legend. He obviously turned one dumpster fire organization into, fast forward, pretty successful team. Number 1 overall seed in the playoffs last year for the NFC. They started off in 2021 in Dan Campbell's tenure with a very poor record, 3-13-1. But what's interesting is they lost 6 games by 1 possession. So very quickly, you could have had a 9-win team if you win some of those. Those games, you tied with the Steelers in Week 10, the Detroit Lions. They tied with the Steelers in Week 10. They got their first win in Week 13 against the Vikings in December. They beat the Cardinals in Week 15. And then they beat the Packers in the final week of the season. So for the Detroit Lions, this was a squad that after trading Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff, they used a bunch of those picks to try to rebuild their roster. And they showed fight. They showed that they were a scrappy team. They showed that they were not going to bend over and just take it. They were not going to lose. They were not going to just get beat up, bullied, and be the laughingstock of the National Football League anymore. The Detroit Lions, you could tell that the tides were starting to turn for that organization. Now, let's take a look at the New Orleans Saints in 2025. They started 0-2. both losses so far have been by one possession. The New Orleans Saints, in my opinion, they're showing fight. They're showing grit. They're showing that they believe in themselves and that they believe in what's being built here. But the team just hasn't been disciplined enough. They haven't played a clean brand of football, and they've been struggling with controlling the controllables. They have too many penalties. They have issues on getting off the field on third down. They have issues converting on third down offensively. And I can tell you right now that the New Orleans Saints, in my opinion, are headed in the right direction. Because traditionally what we've seen this team do whenever they get down and out and they get hit in the mouth is they keel over. And then they just lose. And then they get blown out, and a horrible collapse comes, and you end up losing by 20, 30 points. Maybe not all the time 20, 30 points, but still. When you get hit in the face and you deal with adversity, the New Orleans Saints traditionally have just keeled over. But now they're standing up and fighting. They're giving themselves an opportunity to win. They're not winning, but they're at least giving themselves the opportunity to try. And so I'm going to take a look at some stats here momentarily, comparing the offenses for New Orleans in 2025 to Detroit in 2021 and the defenses by that same token. Granted, it's only been 2 weeks, but I think that the numbers are super, super interesting, and it just proves my case that I think that this team is reminiscent of the 2021 Lions. But first, got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. This episode of Saints Now by Chat Sports brought to you by the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the whole wide world, and that is none other than PrizePicks. You and I, ladies and gentlemen, we make a decision every single day. We make multiple decisions on what are you wearing, what are you eating. But you know what's cool about PrizePicks? Your decisions can actually get you paid. It's the only place where being right can help you turn ball knowledge into cold, hard cash. Don't miss on any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it is always good to be right. Today, I am going to be rolling with Monday Night Football. Actually, Lopez, can we go to the other one? Because this is for the Monday Night Football Week 2. I have a different PrizePicks that I want to take a look at for NFL Week 3. This is the one I want to go to. Because we've been talking about Saints versus Seahawks here. So for this matchup, Chris Olave, find the end zone once. Lopez, we're projecting this one into existence. We're making this one. It has to happen at this point. Week 3, come on. It's going to happen. Jackson Smith and Jigba, also find the end zone once. If these two guys find the end zone, your boy's making some serious cheddar, because these are both demon picks, and that means the payout is much, much higher. PrizePicks, they're one of the few apps out there that puts their users first, so withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account. PrizePicks also offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks will not count it as a loss. You just pick 2 to 6 players and choose more or less on their stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Shout out to PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. All of that information is in the comments and description of this video. Let's continue this conversation around the New Orleans Saints and building something for the future. The theme that I want you guys to pick up on, if you haven't already, is it took a minute for the Detroit Lions to turn things around. But look at them now. They had a 3-win season, 13 losses, and a tie. And then after that, some more wins. And after that, some more. And then after that, you have the #1 seed in the playoffs. And I'm not saying that's exactly where the New Orleans Saints are heading. I am saying I'm not saying that is where they're headed. I'm saying that's where they could be headed. Try saying that 10 times fast. All right, let's take a look at the offensive comparison here, because these stats are super, super interesting if you ask me. So granted, this is through week 2 of 2025 compared to the entire season of 2021. Very small sample size in 2025. But again, I still believe that the New Orleans Saints are headed in the right direction. Reminder, this is the Lions that won 3 games, lost 13, and tied 1. So the New Orleans Saints have been doing a lot better in the yards per game. They haven't been putting up as many points. They haven't been putting as many yards per play. But they also have been, struggling a little bit more on third down. They've been better in the red zone. So with the New Orleans Saints offense versus the Lions offense in 2025 to 2021, you can tell that there were changes being made. The offense was going to get better. They were getting the pieces in, and they utilized a lot of those draft picks to build around Jared Goff and build around the vision that Dan Campbell had. And that's why I go back to this point that I think the New Orleans Saints are headed in the right direction. Kellen Moore has to build this team the way he sees it needs to be built. It needs to be his squad. Not trying to recreate Sean Payton's teams, not trying to recreate another roster. It's trying to be your own successful self. It is a copycat league, yes, but you also need to have your own identity, and you have to have your own culture, and you have to have your own personality and your own thumbprint on the roster and on the team and on the game plan and on what the expectation is if you are a part of the team. And I do think that the New Orleans Saints have done a good job this offseason of rebuilding things, but since the season kind of started picking up, they've been making a bunch of trades, been thinking about the future. I think that that's really, really interesting because that's kind of the same mindset that the Lions were in just a few years ago. And I will say, a big reason for the success in Detroit, obviously, it's Jared Goff. He's a great quarterback. He's playing really, really well for Detroit. That being said, I also think that Spencer Rattler is off to a pretty impressive start. You're going to see people in the comments section. You're going to see people on social media just absolutely ripping Spencer Rattler for being 0-8. 0-8. He's 0-8. All that just to be 0-8. Look, the reality is wins are not a quarterback stat. Wins and losses are a team stat. That's a team stat. It's not up to one person whether or not they lose games or win games. Spencer Rattler this season has not been the reason that they've lost those games. Spencer Rattler has needed to play better, but he's done a fine job. He has the 18th highest QBR in the National Football League, 57.7. That's a number ahead of guys like Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson, C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Tua, Bryce Young, J.J. McCarthy, just to name a few. So guys who, in Burrow, Stroud, Lawrence, Rodgers, Nix, Daniels, guys who are viewed as quality quarterbacks. Wilson, a dude who just threw, the Giants had like 600 yards of total offense in week 2. It was like, he had like 450 yards. It was ridiculous. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Spencer Rattler's been perfect, but I do think that he has gotten better. I think that the start to this season has been better. I think that when you take into consideration his situation last year and his situation this year and the tape versus last year and the tape versus this year, you can definitely see drastic improvements for the young passer. What do you think about Rattler so far? I want you to sound off in the comment section. Share your thoughts on the quarterback for New Orleans. Do you think that he's been fine? Do you think that Tyler Shuck needs a chance? I want you to sound off in the comment section and have an honest conversation. Look, I go back to the offense here because I don't think that it's Spencer Rattler's fault that the Saints are losing games. And you can chalk it up to making excuses for Rattler. You can chalk it up to whatever you want to justify you saying and believing what you think in your head. I'm going to do the exact same thing because that's what we do on this channel. That's what we do in this great country. We have conversations and we form opinions on those. The offense needs to be better. The offensive line needs to execute their assignments better. And to be honest, I thought the offensive line did a great job yesterday in limiting Nick Bosa up until the very, very end of the game. The offensive play calling could be better. The drop issues need to be addressed. The decision-making can be better. I think that the offense as a whole just needs better execution. I don't think that any of the people on the roster are solely to blame. You can't point the finger at one person on the offense. You can't point at the quarterback, can't point at the receiver, can't point at the tight end, can't point at the line, can't point at the whoever. It's the offense as a whole. The unit needs to be better. And I will say, for a squad that's been deemed the worst in football and a team that's been, oh, looky here, we're going to be picking first overall. It's going to be March for Arch and Nussbus and blah, 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 blah. Offense has been pretty good. Reminder, the offense in 2025 is 21st in yards per game, 27th in points per game, 27th in yards per play, 23rd in third down percentage, and 17th in red zone scoring percentage. Lopez, were any of those dead last in the league? I know it's not, lovely numbers. I didn't hear any in the 30s either. So my point being, the offense has been impressive. The offense has been good considering where the bar was set. Sure, there has been growing pains. We knew there were going to be growing pains. If you didn't think there were going to be growing pains, wake up. I don't know what to tell you. There were always going to be growing pains. This team is in the midst of a rebuild. But the squad has been better than expected. And if you want to disagree with me, you're entitled to that opinion, but you can look at the numbers, you can look at the stats, and everything that I just told you backs that up. Now, the defensive comparison from Detroit in 2021 to New Orleans in 2025. You can see the Saints defense does better in yards, allowing yards per game, points per game, yards per play, third down percentage, right next to each other, red zone percentage, right next to each other. In the tail of the tape you see on the right side of your screen with all those Saints numbers, top half in yards per game, right around top half in points per game, top 10 in yards per play. You want to know why we keep saying self-inflicted wounds are the problem? It's because you give up 50% of your third down opportunities. You'll start from third and behind the sticks and give up a big play. Doesn't matter. This team is allergic to stopping third downs. It's so damn frustrating. This trend that I've noticed with this team has been that the Saints on first and second down, they'll be great. They'll be solid. That's proof in the pudding by 4.8 yards per play. That's top 10 in the National Football League. Third down, though, is our kryptonite. Third down scares the hell out of me. Third down, the more important down, where you need to be making plays, is where you're making mistakes. Unacceptable. To be totally honest, I think that New Orleans, if they want to take the trajectory and want to follow the path that Dan Campbell's Lions team did, you're going to need to find ways to play more complementary football. This team is way too one-sided right now. Because when the offense goes and makes a play, the defense doesn't make a stop. When the offense drives downfield, special teams can't put it through for a field goal. When the defense gets a stop, the offense can't drive down the field and give you an opportunity to score. When one of those things is working, the other two just go straight to shit. The Saints need to play more complementary football. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take a few years. What should the timeline expected be? I'm not going to say what you should expect, but this is what you should shoot for. So the Lions under Dan Campbell, first season, reminder, 3-13-1. In 2022, they went 9-8, had a winning record. They were second in the division. In 2023, they were first in their division with a 12-5 record. That is his third year as the Lions head coach. In his fourth year, they were the first overall seed in the NFC playoffs with a 15-2 record. Best one in the National Football League. And in 2025, they are at 1-1 right now. So obviously, you have work to do. Obviously, it's not going to be pretty in year one. But what has been my theme every single video since Kellen Moore's been hired? It's not about this year. It's about this year and this year and this year. It's about getting to sustained success. It's about going through the growing pains. It's about dealing with the adversity. It's about learning the roster and building the foundation to achieve sustained success. The New Orleans Saints, in my opinion, they are a much more well-coached team this year than they were last year. You just got to give this thing some time. Give this thing the opportunity to cook in the oven. Give this team the chance to prove themselves. We always knew in year one you weren't going to go win a Super Bowl. We knew we weren't going to make the playoffs. We knew we weren't going to have a winning record. Year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. That's when you can really see the success get built. But it's important in year one to challenge yourselves and tackle the challenges that are put in front of you so that way you can alleviate any issues and get to that sustained level of success. There's still plenty of work to be done. I don't want it to get twisted. I don't want my words to get misconstrued or misunderstood. This team has a lot of work to do. They are not anywhere near being a playoff caliber roster. That being said, if you stop those self-inflicted wounds, if you start controlling the controllables, and if you build the roster and keep it healthy, I think that this isn't the worst team you've ever seen in football. I still believe in Kellen Moore. I think that he has what it takes to be the guy. I really respect and I'm on board with his vision. And it feels like this team keeps getting those moral victories. Moral victories only take you so far, but they are important. And those moral victories are what can help you get to real victories later on in the season. Again, I'm not saying we should celebrate and be hip, hip, hooray because we have a bunch of moral victories throughout the season and you win 1 or 2 games. But I am saying is if you notice the team play very close, fight hard, and show up every week and not keel over whenever they get hit in the face, I think you can tell that this team is going to be headed in the right direction. I've said it before. I'll say it again. This New Orleans Saints squad is very reminiscent of the Detroit Lions in 2021. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. This has been Saints Now by Chat Sports. As always, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and help us beat Seahawks today in that sub battle. We will see you guys later. Y'all stay golden. Booyah.
There we go.
What do you guys think about Spencer Rattler? What are we even talking about in the chat? Somebody somehow Derek Carr Derek Carr. You can't make this up. This is how you know I love YouTube and love the internet. In the same message, you have Rattler, Derek Carr, and atheist all in the same sentence. And I don't know what I don't even know where to go from there.
Ooh, I want to find that. I might have to command F5.
Mile high. I rather learn from Derek Carr instead of Rattler. Atheist Carr won big games and big moments, experiences everything. Derek Carr's not an atheist.
I think he's like the complete opposite.
He's actually like a very outspoken, devout Christian. So I don't know who put that out there, but that's not true. The other thing is, sure, Derek Carr has all these fourth quarter comebacks and late game victories. Fun fact, he did 0 of those with the New Orleans Saints, only with the Raiders. So I don't. Also, why in the year of 2025 are we talking about Derek fucking Carr? Shut up. Derek Carr doesn't matter. He's retired. He's not even in the league. Who gives a shit?
But
why are we talking about players who are retired?
I think we still talk about Derek Carr kind of like the same way we talk about like Bin Laden. He just did that much damage.
Just like, why do we even have a?
Oh, Mile High saying he meant to say at least.
Sorry. Okay. Mile High.
That saves.
It's still the question stands. Why the fuck are we talking about Derek Carr? It doesn't even matter. He's not on your team. He's not on my team. He's not on any team. He's retired. So let's just like, can the people who are just Derek Carr supporters just shut up? He's gone. He's done. It's over. He's not gonna come back, and he ain't gonna kiss you on the mouth. You can give it up. It's okay. Okay. So for the PrizePicks read, I had to switch it because I'm gonna push the mailbag out tonight.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened there because I was like, I didn't.
Nope. I didn't change the script. So for the mailbag later, do the Monday Night Football one. I'll put that in the script right now. Do the Monday Night Football.
Young hit is saying Tyler Shuck going to get his chance by week 4.
No.
I don't know. If Spencer Rattler keeps throwing for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns a game, no interceptions, I don't see a world where he
if Spencer Rattler keeps having an above 100 passer rating, I don't know why you would want to take him off.
Sit the fuck down,
like,
Spencer.
All right, listen up, Spencer Rattler. Here's the thing. You've been really good. You haven't been the reason the offense has sucked, but we're benching you. Like, honestly, actually, what the worst case scenario, the worst thing that could happen is that Spencer Rattler keeps playing really, really well and the Saints keep losing games because it's like, well, at some point you got to see what you got in Shuck.
Do we draft a quarterback now? Or?
So at some point, yeah, because they're like, we have to see if you need it. Yeah, so Spencer Rattler is not the issue. He's not the problem. My high, true. Sorry, the past features. Yeah, dude. Like, we're gonna have a ban on the word Derek Carr in our chat sooner rather than later, dude.
No slurs and no Derek Carr.
No, wait, what'd you say?
No slurs and no Derek Carr.
I mean, they're basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
God bless it. All righty. People are asking me to ban people in the chat. Here's the deal. If you want to ban somebody in the chat, I'll let you do it yourself. Or we could be adults and just, not look at the live chat. How's that sound? All righty. Let's get into the second segment. Make sure you use hashtag Saints or send in a super chat if you haven't already. I'm going to tell you about some players who I think need to be unleashed in Week 3. Unleash the beasts! Who is this Lonnie guy? I guess he's just talking about. Yeah, I think he's just a. Hey, Lonnie. Spencer Rattler is not going to kiss you. Spencer Rattler is not going to kiss you no matter how many times you say his name in the chat. Let's get into it. Time to unleash these players. Fanatics, right? Yep. Cool. Let's party. Yep. It's time for the New Orleans Saints to unleash these players. I'm going to give you 4 names, maybe even a 5th one. Make sure you stick around for the video of guys who I think Kellen Moore need to take the chains off, let them out of the doghouse, and let these guys feast. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. We're going to spend the next few minutes telling you guys about some rookies / younger players who just, in my opinion, it's time to see their opportunity. First things first, we're going to start off in the cornerback room. I want to see Quincy Riley get unleashed. It's time to get this guy on the field. Isaac Yiadom, let me say this. He is not it. I am tired of seeing him on the field. I do not want to see any more Isaac Yiadom. I am perfectly okay letting Quincy Riley get out on the field as soon as possible. 131st overall selection in the 4th round this past year out of Louisville. He was excellent in college. He had 15 career interceptions, which was first in the draft class, 23 pass breakups since 2023. That was second in this draft class. Quincy Riley, he can be effective in the run game. He can be effective as a ball hawk. He can be somebody who forces turnovers. And to be totally honest, I think that he's somebody who could provide a spark to the Saints defense and honestly bring a little bit extra juice to that side of the football. I'm going to be just transparent with you. I would much rather, call me crazy, I would much rather watch a rookie with upside go through some growing pains and make some plays than a 29-year-old veteran struggle week in and week out. I'm tired of it. Shout out to Isaac Yiadom a few years ago. Came in, had some good moments. Yeah, he was great. But he isn't doing it anymore. I'm over it. I would like to see Isaac Yiadom off the field. I would like to see Quincy Riley on the field. I mean, Isaac Yiadom has been very, very bad thus far. In 2025, 104 snaps total played. He has not been good. He just hasn't been reliable. He has been picked on for 2 weeks straight. I am so tired of watching our defense get picked apart because Isaac Yiadom just isn't the guy. I think Quincy Riley could help you on those third downs. I think he could help you force those turnovers when you need them. I think he could help you have big moments on the defensive side of the football. Not to mention, if you have Quincy Riley on the field, you're not at risk of losing a comp pick. In case you're unaware, the New Orleans Saints are expected to have a 4th-round compensatory selection be awarded because Paulson Adebo walked in free agency and signed with the New York Football Giants. If Isaac Yiadom, it's a certain threshold of snaps played with this team this season, the Saints will lose that 4th-round pick. And if he is starting and very heavily rotated in, the New Orleans Saints will lose that pick. If he is a backup and doesn't get a ton more run, they will get to keep that selection. Reminder, the Saints have traded away a bunch of picks already. Next year, the year after, and even the year after that. So I'm not saying that the comp pick is the reason to start Paulson Adebo or to start Quincy Riley. I am saying it's something to consider. And I would like to see Quincy Riley take over right here, right now, in week 3. Isaac Yiadom just isn't it anymore for me. And if you want to see Riley on the field over Yiadom, one thing, send a message, like this video. Let's see if we can get 500, 600 likes. I mean, shoot, Lopez, if we get 1,000, Yadam's on the bench. He's got to be, right? Yeah, at that point, 1,000 likes goes straight to Brandon Staley's front desk and say, oh, well, we got to make some changes to keep the Saints fan of the Golden Gang happy. Like the video if you want Quincy Riley to start over Isaac Yadam. Sticking around on the defensive side of the football, I think you guys knew where this one was headed. Danny Stustman. I have been self-proclaimed as a dirty little stut. I am a big, big fan of him. Friend of the program, has been on the show, and I'm a huge Danny Stustman believer for what it's worth. I think that the linebacker position, the future revolves around Danny Stustman. And I do think that there's a conversation to be had about Pete Werner potentially taking a little bit of a back seat, or at least being rotated in, or rotated out, you should say, a little bit more. He's been struggling in coverage. He was not good last week. And Pete Werner was dropping back in coverage on that Juwan Jennings touchdown on 3rd and long. He was dropping back, couldn't quite get up high enough, and couldn't bring it down. That being said, he is second in tackles for the New Orleans Saints. So if you do put him on the bench, you lose a guy who gets you a lot of production. That being said, bone to pick, Pete Werner, 3-year, $25 million contract. He has 17.5 of that guaranteed. Pete Werner is not playing like that contract suggests, in my opinion. And you were paid to take a step. We have not seen that step be taken. We have not seen him leap, if you will. And I will say, with a team that struggles mightily on 3rd down and struggles to have energy and pop, Stutsman might be the guy to bring that. I mean, he's a defensive tone setter. There's no question about it. This guy will set the tone. He'll bring the energy. He will be loud. He will juice up the fan base. He'll juice up the field itself. Do you not remember in week 1, opening kickoff, Danny Stustman in on the tackle? The entire stadium erupts. When he took the field in preseason, entire stadium erupts. You want to have the dome field advantage, put Danny Stustman on the field. It's going to be hard to take him off the field. I'm shocked that he hasn't been on the field more, to be totally honest. He's also a tackling machine, very reliable, very good against the run, can drop back in coverage because he is a freak athlete. And guess what? Even if the ball isn't going towards his side of the field, he will book it to the other side of the field and make the play. He is in on every play. He finds the football. He has a nose for the football. He's a heat-seeking missile when it comes to bringing down the ball carrier. He's a physical playmaker who brings pop, who brings power, who brings speed, who brings excellent playmaking ability and strong leadership to a roster. And so, in my opinion, I think that the Saints need to find ways to get Danny Stustman rotated in more often, because I think that his upside is absolutely undeniable. This is not a knock on Pete Werner, but come on, man. How could you tell me you don't want this guy on the field? How could you tell me that the New Orleans Saints right here, right now, are better off in their current situation? I just don't buy it. I don't. Because if they were better off in their current situation, they wouldn't be absolutely dog shit when it came to stopping 3rd down. They wouldn't be allergic to self-inflicted wounds, or they wouldn't be addicted to self-inflicted wounds. Danny Stutsman's upside is undeniable. You got to find ways to put him on the field, and you got to find ways to develop him. This defense, it needs a spark. It needs an energy. It needs somebody to set the tone. It needs somebody to pick up the energy and be the guy. On offense, we haven't really seen that happen. Rattler kind of making a case. Kamara sort of making a case. But defensively, we haven't seen anyone establish themselves as the alpha. We haven't seen anyone establish themselves as that guy you don't want to go near. You haven't seen somebody take on the role of being the enforcer, being the playmaker, being the big hitter. Who's it going to be? I think Quincy Riley and Danny Stustman can provide all of those things to the Saints defense. Personally, when it comes to starting, I would still say Pete Werner. But I think when it comes to who should get more snaps throughout the game and who should get rotated in more, Danny Stustman needs to start getting some rotation. So I'm going to ask you, who do you think should start? Pete Werner, Danny Stustman. I still think Werner should start, But I do think that Danny Stustman needs to be getting some serious rotation in. He's only been really a special teams contributor for the most part this season up to this point. And I know there's a lot of y'all out there who are big Danny Stustman fans. Devaughn Vele, he is not a rookie by any means. He's also not really a young player. He's just young in his NFL career, you could say. He is a player that I would like to see the New Orleans Saints unleash because he is somebody who was brought in to provide that big-bodied pass-catching ability. He's really, really good with those contested catches. He's very, very reliable when he's working over the middle and in the red zone. He has nice hands. He can operate in a lot of different fashions. 6'5", 210 pounds. The Saints, remember, traded a 4th rounder this year and a 7th rounder next year with the Denver Broncos to acquire this wide receiver who was drafted in the 7th round. Now, I have more to talk about with Devaughn Vele, and I have more thoughts that I want to share. Because I do think Devaughn Vele starting to prove his point and prove why the Saints traded for him. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. But really quick, these polos, ladies and gentlemen, sale alert. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. These sick polos, we have them in white with black stripes and black with white stripes. They were $70. Nike Golf Polo. You can get it for $47 if you use the link in the live chat, comments, or description of this video. Search chatsports.com/NOPolo in your URL or in your bar, whatever. And you can also go straight to the website to get yourself some gear. All sizes available. Sale ends soon, so be sure to take advantage. Chatsports.com/NOPolo will be linked in the comments and description of this video. Go get yourself some new swag. Devaughn Vele in week 2 proved why you traded for him. He did exactly what you needed him to do and exactly what you brought him in to do. Remember, this is a player who caught 60% of the contested catches that he was thrown in 2025 or 2024. In 2025, he has 3 targets, 2 catches. One of those was a touchdown. One of those was a first down. This play right here, I want to just really quickly, because we can't show the play, but here's the photo so you can kind of see it. Devaughn Vele on a quick slant makes a really good move. Hand fights close to the that's funny when I did that. Hand fights close to the line of scrimmage to create that space, beats his man, and Spencer Rattler, all he has to do is put it in front of him where Devaughn Vele has the edge. The defender is behind his back. You can see that right here. He's draped all over him because that's the only way he could get defense on him because he was behind him, and he bodied him. He out-physicaled him. He put himself in a position where only he could make the catch. So Devaughn Vele is doing exactly what the Saints traded for him to do. They're proving why he was brought in. I think he needs more opportunities. I think he needs more run. I was really happy to see that he did start in the starting lineup for New Orleans in week 2, but I want to see him get more than just 1-2 targets a game. I'd like to see him have a little bit more run, to be totally honest. And look, the wide receiver room in New Orleans, I'm not going to sit here and say has been amazing, but Chris Olave hasn't really been super dependable. Rashid Shaheed, dare I say, has been your best receiver. Like, it's just kind of been a little bit of meat left on the bone in terms of this squad. And you obviously haven't gotten to see Trey Palmer. You obviously haven't gotten to see much from Mason Tipton. But I think Devaughn Vele should be getting more rotation and more looks, maybe over a guy like Brandon Cooks, just because of what he can do, providing something different rather than just another speed guy and a good route runner. I think Devaughn Vele can just bring more to the offense. Now, remember, I mentioned one other name in that wide receiver room we haven't seen anything from. It's not Trey Palmer. It's Mason Tipton that I want to see get unleashed. Now, you could make an argument. Honorable mention, I will say Trey Palmer as well because he has been healthy and active for the past 2 weeks after being acquired on the waiver wire by New Orleans. But Mason Tipton, he's a player who has become a household name in the preseason. He's a preseason prince by the definition of it. 2 years in a row. Had strong summers, strong training camps, strong preseason campaigns, and makes the 53-man roster. That's happened twice in a row for him. It's pretty impressive for a UDFA out of Yale. 0 snaps, though, have been logged on offense so far this season. We have not seen him take the field on offense one time. And for a player who continues to make the roster but doesn't touch the field, it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit concerning. It's a little bit frustrating. Remember, in the preseason, 8 catches, 158 yards, and a touchdown. He had one preseason matchup with 100 yards. He was reliable. he displayed there was chemistry there with Spencer Rattler. He showed that he can be somebody you can trust on this offense. He showed playmaking ability. And when it comes to this conversation of, well, who do you take snaps away from? I don't know. The answer is I don't know. Brandon Cooks make a case. I don't think you take snaps away from Chris Olave because obviously you want your best playmakers on the field. But I do think that Tipton should be getting reps. I do think that he needs to see the field. I do think that he's a player who can be a reliable safety blanket for Spencer Rattler and somebody who clearly there's chemistry already developed with. You saw it last year in the preseason. You saw it last year during the regular season when Rattler started. You saw it this year in the preseason. I would like to see that chemistry and that player continue to grow and continue to get more opportunities. Just my personal opinion on that one. Now, I will say honorable mention for rookie running back Devin Neal. You know, it's an honorable mention because it's not like Alvin Kamara's been bad. Like, he hasn't. He's actually been really, really good so far. But I do think when it comes to the Saints offense, it would be pretty interesting to see him get some more reps. He got opportunities in week 1, rotated well with Kendre Miller. I'm not saying Kendre Miller has been bad either, but, like, you clearly need to figure out what's going on here behind Alvin Kamara. And sure, you want to win games. Sure, you want to look to succeed week in and week out. But you also want to develop these players and you want to see what you got in these guys to take a true and honest assessment of what your roster currently looks like and what it's going to need next offseason. So I think honorable mention, I would put Devin Neal in this conversation, as well as another honorable mention, I would put Trey Palmer out there too, just solely because this offense needs more firepower. Defensively, I mean, there's really not any other players I want to see get unleashed on the defensive side of the football. Yeah, he can't unleash Vernon Broughton. He got hurt, so that sucks. Oh, well. Who's been the MVP? I want you to let me know. Talked about some players who kind of struggled. Talked about some players who I think should get more opportunities. Who's been the MVP to start this season? I want you to get in the comment section, share your thoughts, and let me know. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning into this edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports. No matter where you are, how you're watching, we'll always appreciate the Who Dat Nations for taking some time out of their day to hang out with us. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time. Booyah.
Just mowing through this live.
Huh?
Just mowing through this live.
Oh, yeah, we are churning and burning. More like churning and Vernon Broughton. Ha, 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 ha. You know what's sad? Is the Saints are 0-2. It'd be so much cooler if we weren't.
1-1 would be nice.
Huh?
1-1 would be nice.
1-1 would be nice. I mean, shoot. You're one drive away from 2-0 on both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
It's all right. I think we're better than the Panthers. They haven't shown much.
Oh, wow. If Olave can't figure out his drops, bench him.
I like it.
A 1 of 2. Okay.
Like a half.
Yeah. Bench him a half. I see what you're saying. I don't think that the NFL is a place where you bench players because they're not playing well. I think that's what you do in college. But when there's millions and millions of dollars invested into these guys, it's hard to justify. Also, that just completely deflates a player and completely ruins any confidence that they may have. Also amplifies any confidence they may not have. I don't think you need to bench him, but if he doesn't figure out his drops, am I crazy for saying maybe at the trade deadline you kind of start taking some calls?
I think either at the trade deadline you start having that discussion, or if not, at most this offseason you're talking about it.
I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. All righty, we're going to take a few minutes to go through the injury news for Vernon Broughton, and then, of course, we're going to take your questions on our mailbag portion of the video. Use hashtag Saints, send in a super chat, get on the program. Make sure we put this one in.
Yeah, that's going to start.
Yeah, make sure we put that one in. All right, if you have a question, hashtag Saints or send in a super chat. We're about to start the Vernon Broughton injury news here on the channel.
Let me see how many we have, actually.
SoCal says James Bradbury is still available if they don't trust Quincy Riley. Yeah, see, the only problem about James Bradbury is that he sucks. And at that point, just keep Isaac Yiadom in. James Bradbury is factually a bad football player now, so I'm good. Rooster says the Saints have 3 wide receiver 2s. I think Olave would be better as a slot receiver from Lonnie. Saints going 0.16. What does 0.16 mean? What is that record? And plus, you can't go 0-16. There's 17 games in a season.
No, the Saints disband the franchise.
Yeah, the Saints actually just don't play their last game. There's just no last game of the season. The week 18 does not exist. You're so right, Derek. You're so right, bro. You're so right. 100%. Doesn't make sense, man. I think that 4 wins is realistic. I think that you could easily beat the Panthers. I think you could beat the Falcons in one of those. And I think you could beat the Giants. I think you could beat, which honestly, not even, that's a little bit less confident because of how well they played yesterday. But still, I think you could beat them because they clearly can't finish. Saints, obviously, also. Patriots, I don't think are a good football team. Dolphins are arguably the worst team I've ever watched take the football field in general. They are horrible. Derek, if you think the Dolphins are going to beat the Saints, you might need to get your eyes checked.
We might beat the Bears. They're not
Bears.
great.
Yeah, Bears are dude. Factually, if you want to disagree with me, I'll tell you shut the fuck up because the numbers agree with me. Spencer Rattler is playing better than Caleb Williams. Spencer Rattler has been a better quarterback this year than Caleb Williams. If you disagree, argue with the brick wall.
Also, Jets and Titans.
Jets and Titans, terrible football teams. Justin Fields, not on. You're going to be playing Tyrod Taylor against the Jets. I just don't. I don't see how you lose all your games. I also don't see a world where you go 0-16 because it's impossible to happen. But good job there, guys. Way to show off that ball knowledge there. It's just so lazy. It's so lazy and so uneducated. Just be like, yeah, they're going to lose all their games. We're going 0-16. It's just like, I understand where that's coming from. I get why you're saying it. But, like, have an original thought. Just challenging. I'm challenging everyone to have an original thought. Trizzy, I'm currently about to go to a football game. Wish us luck. Starry, best of luck. If you're playing Monday Night Football, I guess you're, middle school?
No, he plays for the Buccaneers.
Huh?
He plays for the Bucs.
Yeah, he plays for the Buccaneers. Starry, you are actually on the Texans. He's on the Texans roster.
Yeah, you're lined up.
Starry, best of luck to you, my friend. Best of luck. Catalyst, good to see you, brother. Nintenja says Trizzy is one of the hardest working Saints content creators. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Brandon Ida's winning 6 or 7 games. I think that's fair to say as well. All right, how are we looking on the question front?
I got 1, 2, 3.
Keep using hashtag Saints. If you want to get on the show, there's a lot of people talking in the chat, but nobody getting in on the mailbag. If you guys want to get on the program.
I think we got about 8 questions, and if we're doing Vernon Broughton.
Denver going to the Super Bowl. The only problem is, Mile High, Denver needs to figure out how to not – what's the penalty that they need to not get penalized on field goal attempts. Yeah, it's leveraging. They need to learn how to not do leveraging. That's where you need to start, Mile High.
Also, I think we're just forgetting. Daniel Jones might be the best.
Yeah, also, Daniel Jones might be the best quarterback in the National Football League. Daniel Jones might be the next coming of.
They're going to have that guy on Twitter perform at halftime.
He might. Daniel Jones might be better than Andrew Luck. He might be better than Peyton Manning.
I think he is.
He might be the best Colts quarterback of all time.
Colts player of all time.
It's hard to argue, dude. Hasn't been that many. Hasn't been that many good ones.
They're going to get that dude from Twitter that does the Colts songs. He's going to be at the halftime show.
I'm so tired of him. I'm so over
Dude, he performed in the preseason.
Yeah, I know. Why? Okay, funny. It was funny for a year. Yeah, it was. It was funny. Let him do the draft pick. Let him do that. And, let's just be done. But now we're getting cheerleaders. We're getting, celebrities. And, dude, it's so lame. It's so overdone. And it's honestly, maybe this is loser talk. Maybe people are going to say I'm jealous, but like, he's not that funny. He's not that entertaining. It's the same thing every single week, and there's no changes to it. Like, if it was a different song every week, that would be great. But the only thing that changes is that beat the Broncos, beat the Colts, beat the Steelers. Like, it's all the same every single week. The only thing they change is beat whatever team they're playing. So, like, if you're going to have that be your bit, do something different. At least, like, did you see the guys on Instagram, like, the guys who would take, like, the rap song and make it, like, the crooner version of, like, the 1920s?
Yeah.
Yeah. They did, like, Walk It Like I Talk It. That was, like, and, like, Sheck West. There was a couple of them that got, or Mo Bamba that, like, got him, that popped off. At least they did different songs every time. Like, the shtick was still the same, but it was a different song every time. And it was different. You never got the same thing. Colts guy, same thing. Get him off. Like, we're done. The worst industry plant since the Chargers fan.
I will say there was an Eagles guy that did like stuff for their playoff run, and he changed it every week. And some of his were kind of catchy. And that's the only nice thing I would say about the Eagles.
Yep. That and their Kelly Green jerseys are cool.
That too.
That's it. Not gonna say anything else. Nothing else. Alrighty. Let's get after it. Do we make it to 21 plus points over under 5 more times this year?
Yeah.
Yes. SoCal, good question. Use hashtag Saints if you want to get on the show. I won't answer it unless you use hashtag Saints. He's asking, why isn't Asante Samuel Jr. signed yet?
Ooh, we know the answer to that.
I know the answer to it, actually. I have the answer. But I'm not going to tell you unless you use hashtag Saints. All righty, mailbag coming up. Let's get after it. Whenever Lopez is ready. You're good. Yep. Mm-hmm. In today's video, we have to go through some breaking injury news because death, taxes, and season-ending injuries for the New Orleans Saints. That's what we're going to talk about in the first half of this video. Second half, we're going to go through a live Q&A where I'm going to be responding to questions and hot takes from our live chat that we have every Monday and Thursday around 3 p.m. Central Time. So be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. Injury updates, as promised. Mike Garafolo, the first to report the Vernon Broughton injury news. Not good. The New Orleans Saints, they cannot catch a break here. They are going to miss Vernon Broughton out for the season. Kellen Moore confirming today that they will be sending him to IR, likely sending him to IR later this week, and that he will be missing significant time with a hip injury. He was a third-round pick, was really, really strong during the summer, had a great campaign in the preseason. Yesterday, got his first debut and got his first opportunities to play in the regular season of the National Football League. Showed some really good moments all throughout this time, and now his season is over. And I will go back to the fact that this team cannot catch a break. This team is cursed. This team just cannot avoid the injury bug. For some reason, there's something in the air in New Orleans that says, injury bug, we want you to come over here. And I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand it. Because it's like, how do you prevent some of these injuries from happening? Like, I've always said, it's not the medical staff's fault. You can't blame the medical staff for injuries that happen on the football field. Like, it's a physical sport. It happens. Does it happen this much to anyone else? Honest question. I don't think it does. I really, really have a hard time believing year in and year out that other teams deal with the injuries to the extent that New Orleans does. It's absolutely frustrating. This team cannot catch a break, and they have to be cursed. That's the only explanation at this point. The updated depth chart for New Orleans, you'll take a look at it. We went ahead and removed Vernon Broughton from here because he will be likely headed to IR. He was behind Brian Brzee, so now you can expect Jonathan Bullard to potentially move over, Fadil Diggs to get some more opportunities in the edge rushing room. Jonah Williams also could be a guy that gets rotated into the spot behind Brian Brzee. But I will say for the New Orleans Saints, they have an opportunity to really get this defensive line going. And then the injuries start settling in. Remember, the Saints traded away Colin Saunders because they felt comfortable and confident with what they had in Vernon Broughton. And now you lose Vernon Broughton. And you may be sitting here saying, well, when the heck did it happen? Well, I honestly didn't see it. So shout out to Ross Jackson, friend of the program, for putting this one out there. Saints rookie Vernon Broughton looks like he got hurt on 2nd and 15 during the completion from Mac Jones to Christian McCaffrey right before the end of the ball game. Looked to grab his left side hip area after chasing downfield to make the tackle. This team is cursed, man. This team can't catch a break. Would you believe me if I told you we have 8 players on IR and 2 on the PUP list? Isn't that crazy? We haven't even played 3 games of football, Lopez. We haven't even played double-digit quarters of football. We've played 8 quarters, and we have 8 people on IR. 2 on the PUP list. Good stuff there, guys. Now, let's take a look at the major injuries, because good God. For what it's worth, any name you see an asterisk next to, those guys are either on the PUP list, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill. They can return after 4 weeks of action. Landon Young, Barry Wesley, they were placed on IR with designations to return. Jalen Polk, a player the Saints traded for over the weekend, he is on IR due to a shoulder injury. Will Clapp, IR after the first preseason game. First couple reps, got hurt with the foot injury. Nick Saldiveri, out with a knee injury. Bub Means, ankle injury. Julian Blackman in week 1, suffered a shoulder injury, played every single snap. John Ridgway, he played a bunch of good football in the preseason. He also dealt with an injury. Pec injury on IR. So I go back to the question. Is this a cursed franchise? Is this team cursed? I don't know what the Saints did to who and how they made somebody upset or what sins they committed. Not sure what it was, but it feels like this team is cursed. It feels like this team can't catch a break, and it feels like this team will always have to deal with injury issues. We're going to dive into the question and answer portion of this video. Vernon Broughton, likely out for the remainder of the season, will be placed on IR later this week, which is why I encourage every single one of you to subscribe to the channel, because once that move is made official, we will provide you guys with that update and with those news and notes. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. 50,397 doesn't happen on accident. We're trying to get to 100K ASAP. So subscribe today for live content and news every single day around your favorite football team. Now, really quick, today's show is presented by PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the whole wide world. And guys, you and I make decisions every single day. Wouldn't it be nice if you could make some money just making some decisions? Well, I'm here to tell you, you can with PrizePicks. It's the place where being right can get you paid. Don't miss any excitement of this season on PrizePicks, where it's always good to be right. It's the best way to cash in this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cold, hard cash for today. Monday Night Football doubleheader. I'm rolling with a pretty fun little lineup. Baker Mayfield, more on his passing yards. Dare Agumbawale, I got him with more than half a reception. And Emeka Egbuka, I think that he's going to have another great week. So I'm going to take the more on his receiving yards. If you want to do these picks, if you want to fade these picks, I don't care what you do. Just make sure you do it over with PrizePicks. Take advantage of the deals for Monday Night Football. Take advantage of the deals you got going into next week. And, of course, all throughout the sports season and other sports as well. They put users first. Withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account. Download the PrizePicks app and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All that information is in the comments and description of this video. Shout out to PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Now, Queen Courtney, first question of the mailbag portion of this video. If Olave can't figure out his drops, bench him for a half. I'm in the firm belief that when you get to professional level sports, benching a player simply because you're not happy with the production for a half does nothing good. I just don't think it makes any sense in the world to sit Chris Olave intentionally to punish him, how is that going to help? Because although you might think, yeah, this is going to make him say, okay, well, I'll stop dropping the ball. Well, guess what? He's not getting reps, and guess what? He's sitting there on the sideline getting in his own head. And now he's going to have the yips, and he's going to continue to have the drops, and he's going to, ruin his confidence. It's already probably pretty hurt because of the injury history and the lack of production. So, Lopez, I don't know if you disagree with me on this. I think benching Chris Olave for a half would actually be a bad idea. What do you think?
I'm not saying bench him, but I think it's time we do start seeing a little bit more out of him. Maybe Kellen Moore in the offense has to scheme something up.
Sure.
But we're only 2 games into the season, I'll say that. But if this keeps going, there's going to have to be some conversations had.
No, and I think that that's totally fair to say that there needs to be adjustments, and it needs to be fixed and improved. Like that, Queen Courtney, I don't disagree with you. He does need to figure out drops. But benching him, I don't think fixes that. You know what it does is running gassers up and down a hill, or, doing bear crawls, or like doing the log rolls all the way down the field.
Hit the jugs machine.
Yeah, hit the jugs machine. I don't know. Catch 500 passes on the jugs machine. I don't think benching him would do anything. I don't think it would make much of a difference. But I am with you, Queen Courtney. This guy definitely needs to figure out the drops and definitely needs to play a little bit better. I hate saying that about him, but he's supposed to be wide receiver 1. I want him to be better. Nintenja. Nussmeier number 1 next year. I see it. What you think? Sure. I could see Garrett Nussmeier going number 1 overall. I just don't think the Saints are going to be the number 1 overall pick. Not saying that they will be outside of the top 5. I just don't think they'll be top 1. I mean, Lopez, come on. We're not going to have the number 1 overall pick. Let's go through the list of teams that could have the number 1 overall pick. Dolphins. Definitely Dolphins are a team to look for.
I think they might be the favorite at the moment.
Browns might be a team that...
Do they go quarterback? Question.
That's the thing. I don't know if they go quarterback. Unless you have number 1 overall pick and Garrett Nussmeier, you're like, I mean, that's a much better project or prospect than Shador. I don't know. But let's just talk about teams in general who could be the number 1 overall team. I think Dolphins are a bad team. The 100%. Jets, now that Justin Fields is hurt.
But it's not a season-ending.
It's not a season-ending injury, but things could go south very quick. Fast. It could snowball out of control really, really quickly.
Panthers haven't shown
Panthers
much.
Are bad.
Giants still suck.
Giants are meh.
They're not going to go quarterback.
They're not going to go quarterback. I think they're like the Saints, where they'll be a top 10 pick. They will not be number 1. I think that there are just other rosters out there that are significantly worse than the New Orleans Saints this year.
And kind of going back to this question, it pains me to say it, Garrett Nussmeier hasn't played great this year.
Yeah.
I don't think any college quarterbacks have played great
I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. If you want to take a quarterback number 1 overall, taking the guy out of OU right now. Like,
I think
it's just because he's been the best quarterback. Who's been the best quarterback in football?
John Mateer's been the best one, but is he going to be one of those that he was elite in college, but then gets everything catches up to him in the NFL?
That's so fair. That's such a fair question and statement to make, too. My whole thing is none of the quarterbacks this year in college football have been good enough to be like, yeah, let's start tanking for these guys.
No,
none of them have been that good. Arch hasn't been good enough. Arch has actually been horrible, dude. Nuss hasn't been good. Lenore Sellers now dealing with an injury, but he hasn't been good. Drew Aller, meh. Cade Klubnik, bleh. Like, no. I'm kind of not really in love with going and drafting a quarterback or number 1 overall right now. I'm just like, I don't think it's going to happen because we won't have the number 1 overall pick. And even if we do have the number 1 overall pick, I'm kind of like, right now I'm not loving the situation we have. Hopefully that changes, but I'm not really loving the number 1 overall. No. Yeah, Caleb Downs is still great. Yeah, so, there's that. There's that. All righty, Nintenja, another question. Rattler has some Breeze qualities in him. Is that a question or a statement? QB, I think it's a question. Rattler has some Breeze qualities in him. I hate when people say, this guy has qualities of MVP, of Hall of Fame level player, one of the best to ever do it. What qualities? He's undersized, he can throw the football. Like, it's just disrespectful to Drew Brees. It's disrespectful to Tom Brady. It's disrespectful to Peyton Manning. It's disrespectful to the greats to say yeah, this 5th-round pick who may or may not be around for a long time, he looks like this guy. I mean, like, I'm not trying to knock Spencer Rattler at all. I want that to be very, very clear here. But I just hate when the greats get compared to guys who are either about to get drafted or are rookies or in their second year. Like, no, I'm not going to say that Rattler and Breeze are the same player. I'm not going to say that at all. If you disagree, that's totally fine. I disagree. Jaden, can't be a mailbag without Jaden in the chat. How do you think Kellen Moore is doing as a head coach so far, and how do you think Brandon Staley has been as the DC? Kellen Moore, I think, has been better than Brandon as a offensive play caller than Brandon Staley as a defensive play caller. I think Kellen Moore could be better. I think he could be more consistent. I think he could make smarter decisions, and I think he could do a better job of scheming some plays up for some of these guys. But I think that Kellen Moore has done a good job as a head coach laying down the foundation for this roster for the foreseeable future. Brandon Staley, on the other hand, I think the defense is what's been losing this team games. The offense, whether one way or another, is doing their job. The defense is not getting off the field on 3rd down. The defense is not forcing turnovers enough. The defense is not playing consistently good enough, in my opinion. So I think that Kellen Moore has been fine as a play caller. I want to see him get better, though. And I want to see Brandon Staley have a much more productive defense, and I want to see them stop getting burned on 3rd down. That's just my big thing. 3rd down, if you can stop that, I think that's literally the only problem with this team. Like, just 3rd downs is the issue. And if you stop 3rd downs, then there's no issue. Like, it's kind of hard to, I don't know.
I think what I want to see more out of kind of both of them, aggressiveness. I feel like Kellen Moore's kind of left some points on the board, not wanting to go for it on like a 4th and 1 or taking that deep shot early in the game. I want to see that a little bit more. And then for Brandon Staley, going back to like week 1, still couldn't get off the field on 3rd downs, but it'd be like 3rd and 5, and your DBs are playing 8 yards off the line of scrimmage, a little slant route across the middle, and it's 1st down every time. Mm-hmm. I wanted them to get on the line, press those receivers, and Brandon Staley never dialed that up. Or
heck, leaving Christian McCaffrey wide open in space on 3rd and 10. What are we doing there?
Yeah, it's
like it doesn't make any sense. I think that Brandon Staley has improved the defense from last year, but he has a lot of improvements to make for this year still. Jaden, I appreciate that question. Thank you so much. Depressed at week 2. Oh, no, we suck again. Joe Burrow is hurt. Should the Saints trade Spencer Rattler to the Bengals? Kellen Moore drafted Shuck, and we are going to be bad anyway. All right. Let's have an honest conversation, because I do understand the argument being made here. The argument being made is that Kellen Moore handpicked Tyler Shuck as his quarterback. Kellen Moore picked Spencer Rattler to be the starter. Rattler has had 2 really solid performances. Joe Burrow is going to be missing significant time with a turf toe injury. So if Kellen Moore said, let me rephrase. If the Bengals said, Spencer Rattler's looking good, and we need a quarterback right here, right now, and that's the guy who's going to cost us less than anyone else out there on the trade market, let's just go and get Rattler. I would not be surprised if Kellen Moore was like, well, could use the extra draft compensation. We're not winning games right now anyway. Might as well give them a chance to see what we got. I understand the argument. I do not agree with the argument. I think that the Saints should keep Spencer Rattler around because, quite frankly, you don't know whether or not he is the guy. And so far, he has proven himself to be the guy. The New Orleans Saints need to be careful with this quarterback situation because you don't want to start the whole you have 2 quarterbacks, then you have no quarterbacks thing and starting back and forth each week. You don't want to do that. But you also want to be a little bit aware of what else is going on in the league and understanding of your own situation, knowing Spencer Rattler's trade compensation may never get any higher. So if the Bengals start calling, maybe you at least answer the phone call and listen. I'm not saying you do it. I actually think trading Rattler would be stupid. But I can understand the argument you're making here. Pablo, is Spencer Rattler the future? Dude. I hate these conversations. Yeah, so it's, hey, let's trade Spencer Rattler. Is he the guy? Is he like Drew Brees? Like, that's just why I love these videos, dude. They're so much fun. Alrighty. Is Spencer Rattler the future? I still think jury's out. I'm not willing to confidently say no right now. But I'm also not confidently willing to say yes. Because I think that Spencer Rattler has shown some really, really nice moments. And I think that he has shown development and growth. But if you have an opportunity, and I've said this since going into this past draft, no matter what you do, if you have an opportunity to take a quarterback with one of the top 3 picks, you do it. You do it because that is the highest quality quarterback that the Saints will have been able to add, the highest draft pick, the highest resume, the best looking resume since Arch Manning in the 70s. So, like, is Spencer Rattler the future? I think the jury's still out. I'm not totally sure. I think that he still has to prove a lot, but I don't want to say no. Juwan Johnson, hopefully. Hey, Juwan, really quick. Practice a couple of those. When will we get to see Trey Palmer? I think that it's actually going to take an injury to see Trey Palmer on the field because the New Orleans Saints have made him a healthy scratch 2 weeks in a row now. And what does Trey Palmer add to the offense? Speed, field stretching ability, big playability, route running. You have that in Olave. You have that in Shaheed. You have that in Brandon Cooks. You have that in Mason Tipton. And if Mason Tipton's not going to be getting snaps, why would Trey Palmer? And if you have plenty of guys who are fast receivers that are great route runners, why do you need another one? Like, I think that it just goes right back to size is what you really need. And having that big playability, that big-bodied pass catcher is more beneficial than having just another speed guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am eager to see Trey Palmer too, but I think it's going to take an injury on the wide receiver front to be able to see Trey Palmer in the black and gold. That's just an opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to today's video. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Shout out to Loco Lopez for helping answer some questions and share some hot takes. Friendly reminder, in case you forgot, Vernon Broughton likely out for the rest of the season with a hip injury and likely headed to IR very, very soon. We're going to be putting this out after our weekly live show on Monday night, so be sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications because we'll have content coming your way tomorrow morning. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard for Loco Lopez. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time. All right. Party, 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 party. Nicholas Forbes, how about Devaughn Vele? He showed us why we traded for him. Nicholas, you took the words right out of your mouth. I literally had a graphic that said Devaughn Vele showed why we traded for him. Earlier. It's crazy. Literally said that exactly. So, shout out to you, Nicholas. We're going to hop on out of here. It's been a great show. Wait, did we get to that last super chat? We had one from Nintenja about my mustache. Let's just pop that one up and then we can go. Yeah. Ditka vibes with the stash. I like it. Yeah, I did the mustache last week on the live, or 2 weeks ago on the live show, ahead of week 1. Because Danny Stustman, remember, right before the preseason, he said mustache means war. It's wartime. So I want to do the mustache as well. I'm going to keep the stash around for a little bit and then grow the beard back later. But for now, it is the season of stash. So appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Y'all are absolute legends. My name is Trizzy. That's Loco Lopez. We'll have content coming your way. If you missed the Vernon Broughton injury news, either rewind a little bit and you'll see it, or wait about 10 minutes and it'll be out on the channel momentarily. Y'all stay golden. Content coming out later tonight, tomorrow morning, live show Thursday, live again for the watch party. We will see y'all next time.